What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pin the Gas podcast on this beautiful Sunday, afternoon where we are, early evening where my two mates are over there in the UK. Man, it's an absolute honor and a treat to sit down with my man Dave Hewson from Obsessing Engineering. You guys heard his story. And Eric Wilson, man, what is up, mate? Welcome to the podcast. So nobody in America knows who this legend down here, Eric, is, but we're going to get into all that, talk about how we get to go over there and race the Mannix in the TT and all that good stuff. But before we get into this proper mega episode, as I always say, it is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your complimentary financial analysis today by Seth Starnes. And you guys hear the spill all the time on Bison leathers. Don't buy an off-the-rack suit where it's not going to fit you correctly, especially if you have a suit that's tight in your forearms. It causes arm pump. I mean, just all kinds of issues, right? It's 2025, people. Love yourself, treat yourself, get that full custom suit. Take that off the rack suit, make it into a purse or backpack or something, and give it to one of your mates or your wife, right? Just throwing ideas out there. It'd be a cool idea, right? Here you go, babe. She might, take it to Goodwill or something, but that's beside the point. Get yourself a full custom suit. Go to bisontrack.com and let's go. But ladies and gentlemen, the legend Dave Hewson, the legend Eric Wilson. Welcome to the podcast, mates.
Nice to be here, Chris. Nice to be here.
Yeah,
nice to see you.
You see Dave?
Absolutely, man. We have a lot to talk about in a short, brief kind of period of time. So we'll definitely run this back and have you two on again, so we can, because I could tell right now it's going to be a lot of this going on. So,
well, if it is, you've done fairly well, because it took me about 10 years to get more than about 3 words out of Eric. He used to be very quiet. He's matured into talking a bit more now, so we'll be all right.
I love it, man. So, and that just brings me, we heard Dave's story, the whole, how he got into it from the street squid. Look, I thought I turned my volume down. I didn't. To the legend at the TT, to Obsession Engineering. If you guys hadn't went to the YouTube channel, go check out Obsession Engineering. It's absolutely amazing. He just did a little series on the ZX4 RR or the ZX 400, as you guys say, and the BMW motor swap was his last video. I always love watching YouTube channel. It's very the way you do your production on it and the way you showcase it's simple for simple-minded people to watch and learn and understand, right? Which I love it. It's a great series. But Eric, bro, let's talk about you right now. Where did your journey start with the wonderful world of twos?
Bike-wise, let me see. First bike was a 50cc scooter, 16. Really didn't have any bikes prior to that. But obviously, growing up in Northern Ireland, obviously the only sport I followed back in those days was the road racing, so Northwest, usual things. So 16 years old, sick of cycling everywhere, so got myself a Honda Step 350 C50, one of the unrestricted ones, so it did about 55 miles an hour.
It didn't stay restricted long though, did it?
No, it was one of the unrestricted ones.
Oh, okay.
So so that would have been 89. Yeah, because friends at school, there was about 6 of us at school, all turned 16 together, and people were going out and buying Honda MT50s, Yamaha RD50s. And they were all restricted to 33, 35 mile an hour. And I buy this Step 350 for £100, so like $150. And they're spending £700 on a new MT5. So had that for the full year, got the car license afterwards, but then soon after just bought my first decent bike. It was an RGV 250.
Bike. Yes.
And at the time I had a 18-month-old, well, you probably won't know what they are, but it was an 18-month-old Peugeot 205 GTI. 1.9, so one of the hot hatches of the 90s. And as soon as I bought the RGV, the Peugeot lasted about 4 weeks and got sold.
I actually had a Peugeot BMX bike here in America.
Bikes, yeah. I had a racing bike, yeah.
Yep. It was blue. It was my favorite BMX bike I own to this day. So
yeah, and and since then it's the majority of the money that I have has been two wheels. So it went on. What was that? It would be 93, 94, 95. Bought a CBR 600, a brand new one of the F Sport, FM models, whatever it was. Got out with a few guys here locally. Did a bit of riding around the roads on the weekends, Sunday mornings and stuff. And just at the start, they would leave me for dust. I remember saying to one of the guys, Kenny, and he said, "Look, just tell me where you're going, and I'll meet you there. Don't be waiting for me." Because up until that point, I'd ridden around on my own. So I did like a year of that, year and a half of that, and then I treated myself to the Ron Haslam Race School at Donington in '97, and that was it. Got the bug ran, but looking back on it, it's quite funny. You're riding because back then they were using the steel frame CBR 600s as the track bikes for the entry level ones, and you think you're quick, and then a 14-year-old Leon Haslam comes around Redgate on a CB 500, and you go, "Okay, Eric, you're not as quick as you think you are."
A big old slice of that humble pie, right?
Yeah, because he was riding, because the CB 500s was part of the British Championship back then, 97, 98. And obviously, as soon as Leon, when he came home from school, into the leathers and out on the track, nice way to live. But I remember that. That was funny. Then we did first track day, would have been a couple of months later at Cadwell, obviously Dave's local circuit, on the
proper circuit.
On my road bike. And then we moved to England actually the following year, 98. And then I got a couple more track days, went back to Ron Haslam's, did a 1-to-1 with one of the instructors. And he remember him saying to me that if you ever get the chance, go racing, you've got, even in 3 sessions, 3 20-minute sessions, he says you've got the temperament to do it. And I thought, oh, fair enough. If I can't remember the guy's name, but if a guy who's been racing a long time says that to you, so fair enough. And then we had the opportunity a couple of us, me and another guy that I work with, got a TZR 250 Yamaha, again, road bike, just stuck some bodywork on it, put a set of Avons on it, and I raced it 3 times that year. Mallory, Snetterton, and Cadwell again. Mallory was wet. First ever bike race was soaking sideways rain even at the end of August. And I got a podium at Snetterton a week later, and then I won in the wet at Cadwell 3 weeks later.
That's my favorite track, Cadwell.
Yeah, and then a year off. 99. We settled in Norwich, and we bought a house. And then the following year, I bought a CB 500 myself and did 2 seasons on that. But even then, I knew the goal was to get to national level license to go road racing, because that's what I grew up with. So yeah, we did 2000 and 2001 on the CB 500. Finished, I can't remember, 4th in one championship and 2nd in the other, and then bought a road going R6, converted it into a race bike, and then went to the Manx in 02 as a newcomer. That was it. And as soon as first flying, and Dave will know, first flying lap, even at 95 miles an hour speed or something, I knew that's it. This is it. You're stung now. And up until 2019, it was road racing predominantly. You did the track stuff for a bit of bike time, but it was all you wanted to do, roads, either there or here or wherever they happen to appear.
I love it, man. I love it. And Avon tires, man. I ain't heard of Avon tires in a long time.
It was just it was an 89 TZR 250. Just again, one of our friends lent us his road bike, pulled all the bodywork off it, put a set of fairings and a set of Avon tires on it, street tires, and went. Simon, he went on to do British Championship. He probably even raced with Dave at British Superstock level. Simon Wright, and I
know Simon.
Yeah. He rode the bike first for 3 months races, and then I rode it, and then he was like a year ahead, because I had the year out in 99. He did CB 500s, won that, and then got a free 600 Hornet to ride the following year as a prize, and then he went on to British Championship Superstock level, I think, for 5 or 6, probably about 6 or 7 years actually. But yeah, that's where it all started. But as I said, always with the goal to go and try a road race, because that's what I grew up with. Because up until 1995 was the first time I'd ever seen a short circuit race, as we call it. World Superbikes at Donington, obviously Fogarty, Scott Russell era. Up until then, every other bike race I'd seen was on public roads. So to me, bike racing or road racing is roads. It's not, even though they say the MotoGP is the road racing world championship, it's not. It's
I have not seen a lamppost.
no.
None.
So no, that's where we went in 2 years at the Manx. But I always wanted to go TT just to do it. And then we went to TT in 2004 on the same R6. So they had two Manx 2002, 2003, and then went to TT in 2004 on the same bike. Basically, again, road legal R6. It spent the winter as a road bike and the summer as a race bike. And that was it. So it went from there.
I love it, man. I love it. Everybody knows that I'm a huge fan of real road racing, right? Not the closed circuits, as you said. I don't see no mattresses on telegraph poles at any MotoGP circuit, right? Even going into the circuit, you don't even see it. So yeah, man. So
that's sort of the men from the boys, that wasn't it? Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
we're
gonna plant some hedges instead of the. And I'll tell you what, I would promise you don't get a track limits warning when there's a stone wall. You just don't get it. Instantly problem solved.
Track limits, won't walk with your elbow.
Or the slight shoulder graze every once in a while, as I see in the pictures, are kissing the curb where you're like hit the curb, you're that close, and it's just real road racing is
or running out of talent. You soon find out what the limits are.
Hey, listen, we've all ran out of talent many times, right? It's all right. You're like, I can do this. Front fold, you're like, I wasn't able to do that. Now I need to go back and figure out where I fucked up at, right? And try it again. So man, it's amazing. We actually have a couple comments coming in real quick. I want to get to pertaining to Eric. So Craigo says, "Hey guys, have gravy, Davey. He don't like gravy." Good to see another Lakeside lad on the pod.
That comes from I did Chasing the Racing podcast with Dom Herbertson and Joe Ackroyd a few weeks ago, and we got into the whole gravy thing, and just no, if it's hot brown, I am not there.
I love it. I love it. Colin says, "Glad to see Eric has a face for radio." LOL.
Oh, Colin, it's a bit harsh.
Oh man, and then of course Dave Thomas. What's up, Dave? He says, "Oh geez, didn't know the Super Bowl of TT interviews was on right now." It is. Absolutely.
Hey, we don't normally mention bowling in front of Dave. It gets awkward.
10-pin.
10-pin Thomas.
I love it. And then we got another Sean Wayne. What is up? He says, "Hi lads."
No, Sean.
Sean's awesome. He said he is.
That's a good photo, Sean.
That's my brother. It's his fault actually. 1984. Brother's 7 years older than me, but he had a selection of bikes in his youth, and we were on holiday in a caravan somewhere, Newcastle I think it was, and he came down and he took me out on the back of his 1978 CB 554 down from Spelgadam. This is the thing at home, so it's over 100 miles an hour as a 8 or 9 year old. So I think that's where it comes from.
That would do it.
It's all his fault.
That would either make you or break you, right? At that point, you're like, yes, this was fun, or I don't ever want to do that shit again.
That was that's probably it. To be fair,
that was the making of the man, was it?
Yeah. Is that fast enough? You can go faster than this. So.
Right. Is that all you got? I thought you could ride. Well, what's up? Love it. So awesome mega journey. Everybody's got their own beautiful journey into road racing, right? The real road racing, not closed circuit racing. But I want to know how you two come together. How did Dave and Eric Wilson come together?
Let me see. So I did. TT wise, obviously, I did 2004, 2005. I missed 6 and 7. I missed 6 because our Cameron, our first son, was born in 2004, so had obviously a couple of years at home. And then went back again in 8, and that was sort of the first time we got introduced, I think, with a couple of mutual friends, Roger and boys, obviously part of the world. And then 8 and 9, and then 2010, sort of through my TT career, I sort of did a couple of years and missed a couple. I did 4 and 5, missed 6 and 7. I did 8 and 9, missed 10 and 11, and that's the way it transpired for one reason or another, moving out of work. No money, all the usual things.
Life. Yeah.
That's it.
And Eric was the oddity in the paddock for years that he had. I kept seeing Eric in the paddock, and there's always people who like are on the edge of the groups you're in and stuff. And Eric had this Kawasaki Green R1. There's always that thing of like, why did he paint his R1 Kawasaki?
But it wasn't right.
Yeah, and that's the normal excuse there. It's not it.
Yeah. Obviously, been fortunate over the years. Lots of, even up until before Dave came along. Obviously, I had a couple of friends that lent me machines. Sort of my mate Phil from Norwich way, he lent me a CBR 600 for a 905 TT. Sean, a friend from Cornwall, he lent me his Super Stock R1 for 08 and 09. But 08 was a bit of a wash because blew engine at Northwest the week before, and managed to get an engine and get it in, and actually did 2 laps of practice on the Wednesday of race week to get it qualified for the senior on the Friday. And then did it again, used it again in 09. And then obviously, back to our meet and greet with Dave would have been sort of 09, and then 2010. I didn't do anything that year, I don't think.
No, but 2010 was when I dispatched the mighty ZX10 into somebody's garden at the Ulster Grand Prix. And several weeks later, I needed to get it home, and who do I know in Northern Ireland who could? And that turned into basically a phone call to Eric going, we knew each other a bit, but not that well by then.
Oh, was it? We anytime you come over, obviously Northwest that year, we were up giving them.
Yeah, and then we had
and
mutual mates and bits as well. Like Windy was Phil Windrum, mate of ours, Dr. Phil, like mutual friends and stuff. And I'd crash at the Ulster, and I'd gone home, and my bike was still sat somewhere in Ireland, and I was like, I need to get that home. And so I phoned up Eric and go, any chance you can go to some lockup somewhere and collect my bike that was not able to be wheeled because it was snapped in half.
It was on the front wheel, the back the swing arm was snapped out or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and then Eric had to pick that up, lug it into the back of a van, take it to Ryan Farquhar, who was coming over for Scarborough. So Ryan takes it to Scarborough, and then I literally reverse the van up at Scarborough, and Ryan's mate basically handball it into the back of my van, and I drive home.
So I went on from there, and then I'll be 2011, 2012 again. Anytime Dave was this way or I was that way, we sort of hooked up, and then the main thing was obviously come 13. Obviously, I was bikeless after getting caught out by the TT
homologation rules.
I bought a ex James McBride Super Stock R1 for an 11 to go to TT in 12 with it. And then they went back from the 8-year homologation back to 5. So the bike was, even though it had been rebuilt from the ground up, and like in 10, it was still classed as a 7 bike. So they scrapped it. So we never used that in 12. So came back from TT in 2012 and sold it at the start of July. I think I sold it. And then 3 weeks later, we got an email from the TT saying, the bike that you couldn't use last month because it was too old, you can now use for 13 and 14. Because
they changed the rule from 5 years back to 8 years.
So that sort of jarred me a little bit, but hey, who knows? And
luckily you didn't grudge.
Yeah, no. And it goes in the memory locker, that one does. But and then we got chatting 13.
It would have been, because
he explained it when he got the Aprilia. He then had 2 eligible bikes to use. So we hatched a bit of a plan. He said you could use the ZX10, hired off him, and went over. Where did we go? Donington, I think. It was like the end of March that year, for a bit of testing, and it was.
Was that when it was absolutely throwing it down right now? Absolutely freezing cold.
They had to clean the circuit that week, and there was still snow piled at the end of the gravel traps, banked up before you got to the crash barriers. In some of the photographs we have, you can just see this bank of snow before the thing. For a bit of testing, we used it at, I think, Tandragee that year as well. And then went to TT in 13. And that reverts back to a personal goal of mine from when I was a kid. I just wanted to do 120 mile an hour lap. At that stage, I'd got as far as 19.7 or something, so like 3 or 4 seconds shy of it in 09. But I just, once I get something in my head, that was my benchmark I wanted to do, just a childhood dream to be able to do something like that. And that reverts back to 89 when Hizzy broke 120 for the first time I can remember coming home from school. I think I just finished my maths exam, and I came home and heard it on the radio, and I thought, obviously we were all riding scooters. I thought that's pretty cool to be able to do 120 mile an hour lap there. So yeah, sort of 20 odd years later, we were still busting for it, and 13 was good. Well, basically what we did is Dave gave me the bike, and I said just set it up as per you. Because up until that point, I'd always run Pirelli Metzler, so Dave was running the Dunlops. I said, just set the bike up as if it was yours, and I'll just get riding on it. And we went from there, and sort of slowly through practice in the first 3 races, I think it got up to 18 or 19. So back to where I'd been from, 4 years previously. And then 2014, had another go. So second year on the bike, Tandragee again, a couple of short circuit meetings, and then we got steadily crept forward through the superbike and the super stock races that week. We had decent weather, so the confidence was just building. The bike was brilliant. And then come to the senior on the Friday, they were running obviously your qualification positions from your lap times in practice, but even back then, if the riders improved through the races, so superbike race and the super stock race, everybody got moved forward. So in the first race on the Saturday, Dave was like 10 spaces ahead of me, and come the senior race, I was directly behind him.
In fact, I've got a picture on my wall that Eric did a little collage picture of it, and it's the two of us rolling up to the start line at TT with him sat behind me on my bike.
And I can remember him turning the visor and turning over the shoulder. Says, "I don't want to be seeing you." And at that stage, I said, "No chance," because hadn't seen him all week, and sort of set it off. And I think we were coming. Must have been the 4th lap. I think I was coming through Kirkmichael, and I was just come up on 3 or 4 riders, and I just glanced the orange at the front. I said, "That can't be. I couldn't have caught him." And then obviously by the time we got to Ramsey, I was on the tail, and then up over the mountain, following to sit there, and I think there's nobody actually. I think there's just one photograph of us together.
Yeah, it's in the collage next to the setting off.
You can just see my shoulder and my helmet over Dave's right shoulder, and when we came out over the tram lines at the bungalow under the bridge, I thought, and I remember, I don't think I've ever told Dave, but I actually did hesitate. No, I can't overtake him. And then split seconds that I bollocks that and just walked past.
Then the standard motorbike racer comes out and it's like, I can't overtake him.
Yeah, and then we did the second pit stop and then went back out again, and then came around and obviously finished the race. And obviously at that stage I didn't know that I'd done 121 on the 4th lap, and then did it again on the 6th lap. And then Dave was the first one once Sandra and the boys came down and told me what had taken place. They obviously pulled up beside each other in the park Fermi, and Dave, once he'd said about the 120, and said, "Yeah, oh, I told you about that not coming past me, but when I seen you the black lines you were leaving going around Brandywell," I said, "Well, fair enough."
And I distinctly remember that. He was like, getting to Brandywell is like when you open the gas, there in the 30-second, this big black line out the back of the bike, because it just hooks up and drives forward. I was like, Eric's on it. Eric is on it.
So he said, I said, "And that's a new experience, getting overtaken by your own bike." I said, "Well, at least somebody was on the bike. The bike just wasn't overtaking you by itself."
I mean, that is true, yeah.
And he was a good mate of yours too, as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. And to be fair, over the years, Eric has then got a slight reputation for overtaking people on their old bikes. Because I'm not the only person he's done this to. He did do it actually. Skipping forward a little bit, we did it again at Anglesey a few years later. I had a BMW. I bought a fresh one. Eric bought my old one off me, and at the first meeting we went to, he overtook me on my old motorbike again. So we had a discussion about that, and then you did it to Alan.
Yeah.
At
the Ulster in 17.
Yeah, Alan Connor. His wonderful sponsors, Hugh and Dot had dug his old Suzuki out. They bought Alan a 17 shape one, hadn't they?
Yeah, and they bought about the 10. Again, it didn't have had my 600, but didn't have a big bike, and on the Monday night, I rang Hugh in Wales. Said, any chance I can use the 10? He says, well, it's in bits at the minute, but leave it with me. And by the time he got to the Ulster on the Wednesday, it was in one piece. And come the Saturday with Alan, with again just good friends, and so I managed to beat him off the line, and I was I think a lap and a half in front of him before I break myself in the quarterlands. But it was another laughing point sort of afterwards when they see their 17 bike getting overtaken by their 2010 bike with somebody who'd never ridden it before.
To be fair, you've done that. Forrest beat me on my ZX10.
Yeah.
Forrest done.
Did you do it to Dodd as well?
No, it didn't.
You rode Dodd's. You rode Dodd's Fireblade, didn't you?
But it was on Pirelli, so I didn't get the right setup. Yeah. And only done one lap on the Wednesday to qualify it for the senior on the Friday, so it was. That
was it.
Fun. So yeah, that was childhood dream achieved in 2014.
But I remember the discussion after that. It was, I think you had to justify, because I think you told Sandra if you did 120, you'd stop.
Yeah.
But the justification for going back the next year was, didn't actually do 120. Went from 119 straight to 121. So he'd missed out the 120. Yeah. So therefore he had to go back to do 120.
Ended up doing 124. Right. I love it.
We can always find a way around things. So we missed 20. Well, let me see. Yeah, that was TT 14. So I didn't ride a bike again until the Ulster in 15. So like 16 months later, another friend of ours, Rob Barber, lent me his BM for the Ulster, and I hadn't been to the Ulster like for 5 years. And then I rode that again in 16 and 17. Blew 2 engines in it in 17, including one of Dave's that he lent me.
Yeah, I remember this. The run up to TT, and it was. Yeah. I think it was like you were taking this bike that hadn't ever had an engine refresh or was way over mileage or something, and just went, "Oh, you don't have a spare engine." And I think I built one out. I think I bought 2 engines because I wanted different bits out of them to build one good engine, and I had all this basically rammel left over. Yeah. And I went, well, I can put this stuff together, but it's like it might get you out of the hole for a little bit, but you wouldn't want to do many laps on it, and you had to put it in day 2 of TT.
Yeah. So the engine and the bike lasted. The bike's engine lasted 2 nights, I think, Saturday and Monday. And then we put Dave's spare engine in. That lasted 3 days, and that locked up on me on the way into the bedstead.
Yeah.
Or the Nook, sorry.
Into the Nook, yeah.
Yeah, there's a photograph of that where you can see it locked in the black line that's left back in the bike.
Off the tire, the whole lot.
The bars are locked, and I just managed to get the clutch in time, and it luckily didn't spot me off. And then that's when I missed the Superbike and the Super Stock races that year, and then Dodd lent me his Fireblade for the senior in 17. And then we got Sandra and the family. We came over to see Dave in October that year, I think. And I was saying about, well, I've got a new BMW coming. I says, no, and the other one's up. I said, well, would you mind? I'll bat off you. So that was that. And then obviously from then it had become from Dave Hewson road racing as it was originally to Obsession Engineering. So I thought, well, would you mind? We'll run it in your colours, and I'll get the 600 painted in the same colours. It says for a bit of promotion for the team, the business. Obviously, and the business in Dave's point of view, really, and it'd be good just to two BMWs, knowledge and bits and pieces. So that's where that has come from, and obviously led to many things here, there, and everywhere since then.
Yeah, that's it. Travel the world wearing orange.
Yeah. So we had obviously TT. We had 2 BMWs, my 600 Honda, your ZX at the time, and then obviously David then also built 2. Well, you had 2 750 ZXRs for classic.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that was, and that's a whole another story, isn't it? Because so I like old ZXR 750s. I've got a bit of a thing for them. And I bought one. Me and a mate Martin had bought this. Like he trades a lot of track bikes, and he'd found a local bike dealer who had traded a road legal ZXR 750, but it was a K model, so it was a proper homologation special. But it looked like a dog because it had like a bad race fairing put on it, and somebody had put headlights in it, and it was just weird, and it was old, and it was a bit knackered looking. But when you actually looked at it properly, you realise that at some point somebody had spent an absolute fortune building this. They bought, back in 91 or 92, they bought the entire Harris catalogue and thrown it at it. I mean, this thing was on Mavic magnesium wheels, proper Öhlins damper in it, Harris and billet calipers on it, Muzzy tie system on it, like ram air box and load of other bits. But it was technically a road bike, but it was just a dog. And so me and my mate had bought this thing. Then he'd got a bit bored, so I bought him out of it. And I was in the midst of building this ZXR 750 for Classic TT. And then in a slightly odd turn of events, my mate Stafford, who at that point I didn't know that well, phones me up out of the blue. Do I want to ride his 888? And I mean, I love decays. So, and we're talking proper build here, like, because it's Classic TT rules are fairly open. So it's 1000cc limit. So it was actually running a 996. It's actually an ST4 engine, but with like Corsa bits in it and SP heads and this and that. And it was like 135 horsepower Ducati and like brand new frames and all sorts going in it. He's like, because what he wanted was a Dunlop. Like he wanted a top rider. He actually wanted one of the Dunlop boys to ride it, but nobody would touch it until it had actually gone round and done a lap, because nobody wanted to jump on this unproven Ducati. So I'd literally started building this ZXR 750, got off of the Ducati, and of course I've jumped at that. And then I said, and then Eric, we've been chatting in this, like the ZXR thing. Oh, well, you can borrow that, Eric. Well, of course, I haven't actually built it yet. So it gets built in a little bit of a rush towards the end of towards the Manx, and it lasted not quite the full fortnight, did it, Eric?
It lasted about 8 miles. You make it to Ballacrane, so about 6 months.
Yeah, I think it got to Greba, didn't it?
Yeah.
So usual, if you're going to melt an engine around there, you'll either do it. There's 3 places you're going to melt them. It's if it makes it to Crosby, you've done okay. But then it goes downhill after the Highlander to Greba. So if it's going to melt, there's a pretty good chance. I've built a TZ there as well. And your third one, if you're doing really well, it might make it to the end of Sulby. And the 750 made it to Greba, and it turns out we hadn't quite got the piston to bore clearance big enough when we'd done the 2 mil overbore. And I didn't have a spare engine, so we spent a few days trying to build an engine out of bits, which Al Cowan was loading us bits of half engines and stuff, and I was trying to build one up, and we ran out of time. So I ruined Eric's family holiday because Sandra and the boys were all over, living in Eric's caravan for 2 weeks in the paddock on the Isle of Man, and Eric had his bottom lip out for basically a week and a half of it. So after that, for the next year, I built the ZXR properly, but then I also I found a used track bike one that was a reasonable base, and I bought that and built a second bike that was a lot more standard. But it could just like near enough a standard engine, but fresh. It would just go for miles. And so I had I kept the fast bike, and Eric got the slow bike because he's got a reputation for overtaking me if I give him something fast. So I learned my lesson: give Eric the slow bike.
So yeah, we did. That would have been 18, and then 19 would have been my last time. Well, on that bike, and the last time around there, because I did 18. I didn't go in 19 because the Pikes Peak thing was coming up, and obviously then, Classic TT 19 would have been my last time there. So, and also I think with pandemic and bits and pieces, things changed from there. So 2020, I did one track day at Cadwell with Dave August time. Morning session on the 600, afternoon session on the BM. And then 21, obviously again when everything got cancelled here, road races here and stuff like that there. So brain just goes into gear. What can we do and where can we do it? And then bing, America just came into my head.
For the second time.
For the second time. Because obviously Pikes Peak 19 was good fun.
I think we need to go back and talk Pikes Peak a bit more, because this was was it? We were both in your. For some reason, we were in your garage.
Yeah.
Some point in the depths of winter, weren't we? End of the season. So, in fact, how was it? Was it after the Enniskillen Road race? Is that where I can't remember? That might have been when the plan.
No, January 19. Dave was over.
Yeah,
we were building the bike.
Yeah,
that had been in a crash in 18, and I said about Pikes Peak. Again, I'd been there 15, 16 with Rob Barber helping. Thought, well, I'd like to do that. It looks interesting, and I've said I put an entry in that got accepted. David came over to the van with bits and pieces, and we were sort of just chatting in the garage. And I said, well, I've got a bit of a plan. I'm going to do Pikes Peak. If you need a hand at TT, I'll come and give you a hand, but I won't be riding there because it's like 2 or 3 weeks afterwards. So, but would you mind if you're free? Can you come for the Pikes Peak event and give me a hand for thing? He said, well, what are you doing? I said, well, the bike's going to New York, and I'm going to ride across. I'm going to spend a week riding from New York to Colorado by myself, because at that stage I was going by myself.
And to give a bit of background to that is, I'm going to put it out there. Eric is, I'm going to say, practical with money, but there is man logic to this practicalness.
As always. So,
yeah, like the oddity with Pikes Peak is you don't ride very much. You get a couple of practice runs on each section and one proper run up the hill on race day. So it's like $2,500 for an entry into it. It's expensive. Yeah. So you go, $3,000 whatever. So by the time you've got your entry in, miles per pound is really bad value. And you've got to ship your bike over there, and if you ship it air freighted to like Denver, it adds it. And so Eric, being the practical man that he is, went, well, pounds per mile is a lot better ratio if I ship the bike to New York and ride it to Pikes Peak.
So
it costs it only costs a little bit more, but you're going to do an extra 2,500 miles. So it's a bargain, isn't it? You just
So at that stage. Yeah.
And how was Eric? How was the transition? Obviously, you guys are on the opposite side of the road than we are here in America. How did you find that? Did it bother you at all, or was it fairly easy to get to?
And I'll say I've driven cars, and I'll say I've done a few European trips, so I'd ridden on the wrong side of the road, as we call it. The bikes got loaded up, and a friend of ours, Alan, sort of joined in, and he shipped my BMW obviously back in January that year. So at the point that the bike was being rebuilt, it got rebuilt into an R as opposed to a double R. So
Pikes Peak rules. Pikes Peak rules. It's flat handlebars.
So it got built
officially. There's an oddity in the rules, or there was, where the bike had to be manufactured with flat handlebars, and they have to be the original handlebars in the original position. But there is almost no limit to what other modifications you can do. So we took that to mean you buy a set of handlebars and you build an entire double R bike underneath them, thus not breaking the rules.
No, so it looked like I'd got secondhand panels off eBay and got them painted, and obsession with the team colors and stuff like that there. So, but it had headlights, and it is a road legal bike here, because at that stage I'd taken it out as a road bike at home and done some miles on it to test it in the R form. Was taxed and insured then. So we shipped the 2 bikes out. Dave hired a Harley, and obviously we rode from JFK. So that was my first experience riding driven in America before, but riding in, obviously coming across from Long Island into Manhattan, obviously through Manhattan streets to the hotel.
And via the police.
I think get stopped by the police as well. Because we had all the spares came with the bike in the air freight crate. So we booked a taxi to meet us at the airport customs. So all the spares got put into the back of the taxi, the wheels, bodywork, bits and pieces, tools and stuff. And Alan and I followed the taxi out of Long Island into Manhattan. As soon as we crossed, I can't remember what bridge it would have been, into Manhattan, the police pulled us over. It's 3 or 4 bikes, and obviously, yes, we're from England or from the UK. Check the number plate. The thing says, "Have you got your insurance or your passport or anything?" Said, "No, it's in that taxi." "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, that's got all the bike's parts including my passport. What tax? I says just, and I had to give them the address of the hotel.
That yellow car over there.
And they went to the hotel and spoke to the taxi driver to confirm our story, but it was okay. And then we set off on the Saturday afternoon. So yeah, down. It was a brilliant trip. Got to see lots of brilliant places. Dave put a good bit of the itinerary together. I had a few ideas. He had a few ideas. Alan had a few ideas. So between the three of us, we sort of hooked up
Well, what did we do? We did started off in Manhattan. So we did Manhattan,
Philadelphia, Washington.
Yeah, Washington. So did DC, did the Rocky Stairs in Philly, did Gettysburg, did the Lincoln Highway across. Flight 90?
Yeah, United 93 Memorial.
Memorial site.
Yeah, AMA Museum in Clinton, Ohio State University.
Just Eric knows people everywhere, and we just did this.
And
it wasn't the quickest route to get to Colorado Springs. Why would you do?
No, we left on a Saturday. Arrived on the Saturday afternoon, but was along the way, those things that Dave mentioned. Then we went to the U.S. Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Went to Indianapolis, did the circuit tour, and again, I come out with the odd one-liner now and then. And the guy on the tour, we were standing on the line, looking at the first turn, as they call it, which is just a left bend. He says, and this is has to be one of the most exciting corners in
the most exciting corner in racing, I think he called
it. I turned to Dave and I said, well, he's obviously never seen the flying kilo at the Ulster Grand Prix in the wet. 30 bikes. So now that's exciting. And then we did the arch in
St. Louis,
and then a day and a half to ride across Kansas. And then obviously arrived in Colorado Springs on the following Saturday afternoon. And then a week at Pikes Peak, crashing and rebuilding the bike, or I crashed, Dave rebuilds, and then on from there. So it was good.
But even that turned into a game, didn't it? It's like I said, like the idea with the trip was that I wanted to do coast to coast. Sandra and the kids were going out, so Eric did. He has to sign these things off. Sandra is pretty good. So to make it more practical as a family holiday, so Eric's going to do Pikes Peak, finish, and the next day Sandra and the kids are flying out so they can have a holiday. But I'm going, well, I'm stuck in I'm not stuck. I'm in the middle of the States. It's like, well, I want to do coast to coast. So the deal was I rented a Harley and rode New York to Colorado Springs, and I'd drop that off in Denver, and then I'd take the race bike and do Colorado Springs to San Francisco. So Eric's only instruction for the week was, do not throw the bike off the mountain. So, Eric, what happened next?
That was one of those occasions where you run out of talent. And my second ever occasion where I've purposely decided to jump off a perfectly good motorcycle. I had to do it once before at Knock Hill when I had no brakes. I had to jump. So, right, let's get off exit stage left, and that Thursday morning on the top section, just not outbrake myself, but looking back at the camera view, it was when I hit the brakes the first time, it was just the wrong side of the white lines, hit the bumps because it was quite bumpy, and obviously there'd been a lot of construction traffic up and down because they were building a new visitor center. So I just saved the first one, and then it just went again. And I remember cog cut. I think it's a left-hand hairpin, so the penultimate hairpin at the top, so like 14,000 feet. I remember just glanced up and I seen the portaloo on the inside of the hairpin, so I knew where it was. And I thought, if split second decision said, if I go for these brakes, I don't think they're going to, because with that violent, I don't think they're going to be there. So I just jumped. I just said, no, just get off the thing. And I parted company with a bike. I slid up the road and got stopped by a big manhole cover. So it must be for the electrical wiring or something down from the summit. That caught me on the shoulder and stopped me going over the edge. And obviously by the time I got to my feet, the bike was still, it had landed, but it was still head over tail down. So
into a boulder field.
Into the boulders, and I scrambled down and had a look at it and turned the ignition off, but obviously the engine wasn't gone. It's just those things you do. It wasn't running. So had a look around, and Dave's commented on some of his other stuff. The dash had been ripped off and it was lying 10 or 15 feet away. So I just picked that up and stuck it in my pocket, and that was one of the little mementos I gave him when I got back down. See how
So I just remember it's like we set off for the because you did the first run up, didn't you, behind the travelling marshal, and then you come back down, and because Eric's Eric's a newcomer, they're setting them off first for the timed run, so the front boys have longer in the tyre warmers. So basically, he's done a run up and down slow, come back down, tyres are nearly cold. Then you have to turn around and you've got like 5 minutes and off he goes. And it's freezing cold up that top section. So I went to sit in the van with the heater on. And then Jackie K came over to me because I saw him put a red flag out and I just went, this is never good. And then Jackie comes over a minute later and goes, it's Eric, but he's okay. And I'm like, right, thank God for that. That's the good bit out of the way. And then so we hung around and they did send the rest of the bikes up, and so I'm waiting. And then Eric gets a lift back on an electric bike and he pulls up and he unzips his leathers and he just hands me this dashboard. Just like, that's it. And I seem to remember taking it off and going, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? Like, what am I meant to be riding to? I'm meant to be riding to San Francisco on this. So we had an interesting day after that, didn't we?
Yeah. We got the Dave went up and give the guys a hand to drag the bike out of the boulder field as it was at the top.
We had to get a record truck flatbed with a winch and like 4 guys to drag it up the mountain side. So
went back to the house, sort of broke out a few beers and contemplated life, and the racer head takes over. So we looked at each other, and again, I don't know whether I ever commented to him at the time. Yes, I was battered and bruised and disappointed, but the thing crossing my mind was I've just buggered up the rest of Dave's trip by crashing this thing. So we just sort of looked at it. So okay, well, we made a bit of a list, made a few phone calls, and then that's where Brad Henry saved the day. He's at the time, him and his father Mike, they run
Northern Colorado
Power Sports in Fort Collins in Colorado. BMW, Suzuki, motorcycles, ATV, marine dealers. One of the locals gave us his number. We got in touch, explained the situation, and he said, "Yep, whatever you need, come and get it." So Dave and Alan headed off on the Friday with the remains of my bike and spent the day.
And the dash.
Yeah, the dash.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, and we had
spent the day rebuilding.
Yeah. He was racing with money, so he had a bike and a load of spares. So he basically gave me, and we're sat in his car park when he turns up for work. He knows we're coming, and he basically gave me his race workshop and a motorbike and just says, "Take whatever you need." And I was like, This is the first time I've met this bloke, and I've got toolboxes, motorbikes, and Alan, and I just spent. We left probably an hour or so after the shop had shut, and in a day I'd managed to take it from. I was quite pleased with this. I'd managed to take it from wreckage off a mountainside to almost fully functioning motorbike. That engine, there was even a graze on the plastic oil pickup in the sump. Even that had a graze from where it hit the rocks. So that's how extensive it was. We got most of it done. Got a hole in the frame welded up the next day with is it American Bike Tailor?
Yeah, Bike Tailor.
He welded the frame up for us, and then we had to go back to the bike shop where one of the scrutineers worked to get him to. We wanted him to check the bike over, one of the tech guys.
No, John.
I think there was there like a little hole in your leathers or something, and you said to him like, "Oh, well, what about my leathers?" And he just looked at him and went, "You're wearing them, not me." Done deal.
Yeah, no, it was so. Yes, we spent the Saturday just getting the bike finished off. And then the first opportunity I had to ride it then was obviously Sunday morning on the hill again. And
there's no warm-up, is there?
No warm-up. Bikes on, tires on the warmers, and went from there. Did 4 or 5 miles, and someone else has slipped off ahead of me. So we got turned around, come back down, and then we were able to complete the run itself, and just a little over 11 minutes. So I was happy enough to do. That was, again, another achievement, something considering like 3 days earlier, it wasn't looking very likely. So yeah, with well, as I said, Brad and the guys there saved the day. And I was again, looking back on it, it was a bit well, you can't really say thanks more than anything. Then when I called to see him on the Friday, yeah, because Sandra and the kids flew in on the Monday night, and then Dave and Alan set off. Then the bike was sort of rebuilt, lights back on it for them to set off, and then we headed up north on the Friday. So I called in and had a chat with Brad on the Friday, and that was the first time I'd met him. I'd only spoken to him on the phone, and obviously proceeded to hand him back some bits off his bike and say thank you very much. But
not all of it, because I kept some of it.
Because we obviously borrowed some bits, and we also
we bought a few bits off him.
I bought a few bits, and he had to order some stuff in, so that stuff hadn't arrived. So I wasn't able to. I just said, there you are, there's your exhaust and whatever else we borrowed. And his obviously left, and his race bike was still in pieces in the workshop because not all of it was there. So I feel a bit aggrieved that I did that to them, but fair play to the guy. He was 100%. I said, look, how much do I owe you for what you've done? He said, no, would Dave taken care of it? I said, no, but what you've done, and how much do I owe you for your time? If you, one of your mechanics,
for the generosity for the bits
to rebuild your race bikes. He said, nothing. He says, we were happy to help out. You've come all this way to support a local event. Just the least we can do is help out a little bit. And he wouldn't take any beer tokens off me for anything. So I would say, yeah, well, people like that, I'm sure in all walks of life and all sports, but every single person that we come across and have come across, it's just been outstanding, bent over backwards. And even back to the Thursday morning itself, after crashing, you know, after speaking to Dave and handing the clocks, and then I turned around and Rick Kay came over to me, says, do you want to take my bike? And I said, what for? Says, so you can do a qualifying run. So he was the first person to step up, and hey, there's the keys to his the
MT-07 thing, didn't he?
MT-07 thing. He says, here, I'll do another couple of runs, but if you're fit enough, then they'll let you here. You can run my bike to say you've done a run to be able to qualify for Sunday. So yeah, people like that, we've been extremely fortunate. Everybody we've come across has just been superb, and things have obviously led on from there. So, but yeah, no, it's one of those things. Yeah, again, looking back, as Dave said, we had a week with the boys riding across the states, or 3/4 away in my case. I had a week's racing, good or bad, and then I had another 2 weeks family holiday in the States. So I was away for a month, three holidays in one. So
the way to do it.
Yeah, pretty fortunate. We can do it.
It's practical, isn't it? Practical. Do it all in one go.
So we had a couple more days in Colorado, and then headed up to South Dakota, Vegas, LA, San Francisco, and New York over the next 2 weeks. So just things like that. It's lifetime opportunities, and I tend not to try and miss any of those. If one comes up, I'll get it, or I'll make it into something that's worthwhile doing. So
I love it, man. What a journey. What a journey. What a story. That's that is a lifetime journey that neither one of you will ever forget, you know.
No, definitely not.
And that says a lot. You know, I always say our beautiful circus, you meet family and friends, right? And everybody's there to help everybody out, no matter the situation that happens, whether you walk into a BMW dealership and say, this is all I have left in my bike, mate. I need some parts. And then be like, there you go, you know, and put it all together. So it's, man.
Yeah. And the oddity when I look back is actually that's almost really the start of the YouTube channel as well, because I come out because I decided if you're doing this trip, I wanted to film it. And so I had a literally cheap secondhand GoPro that we were sticking on stuff. I think I might have bought a second camera or something before we went. And at that point, I think I had a few onboard videos that I'd done and put on YouTube that nobody watches. And I said, well, we got home from that trip, and it's like, well, a bit like the slideshow your parents would have had when they got back from holiday. It's like, well, I'll edit this video up. So it's like, so I bought some cheap editing software, and you put it together, and of course you're watching it back as you're editing, and you're going, this is quite good fun because I get the memory the second time, and of course nobody's actually watched it because it was when nobody watched the channel. So if you want to go back and watch some really terrible editing and some really shocking voiceovers, go all the way back to the Bike Speak
2019
videos.
But, I'm gonna do that. 100%. I'm gonna do that when this is done. As I'm cooking, I'm gonna watch that video. 110%.
Yeah, it'll be. Just send me a message later and tell me how awful it looks.
You already know. Absolutely. Sean wants to know if you guys are doing the Tangerine this year.
No.
I'm not. But
no, not for me. Mate, if someone is over sort of riding, or I'll maybe go and give them a hand, but I've got no plans to be riding there myself. Just busy with other things this year. So
yeah, my calendar is very full already.
Yeah. So that's obviously the first American trip back then, and obviously moving on to 21 then. Once everything had got cancelled here, I sort of just thought I want to go back and do other stuff. The original plan back then, I wanted to do Stock 1000 Motor America at the Ridge and Laguna, so that would have been end of June, mid-July.
Yeah.
So dispatched the bike. It went in April, I think, because at that time it was hell and all expensive to fly it, like it had been flown in 19th, but so it went by sea in 21, and had to apply for special permission to travel during COVID, obviously. So with the embassy and US Embassy in London, so that took a bit longer than that originally planned. So the bike turned up in San Francisco mid-June, and another one of the Pikes Peak lads from 19, Tom, who then lived in San Jose, he picked the bike up for me, kept it at his place in San Jose for 3 months because we weren't able to travel until August, really, because before the restrictions started to lift, and obviously the special permission to travel came into play. And so once I'd missed the Motor America slot, so what can we do next? And that's where the Bonneville idea came up. I'd met Jay Allen at TT a few years, so I got in touch with him. He got me the details of where to speak to, and then the Bonneville trip came together for the end of August for the motorcycle speed trials event. So the bike had been in San Jose since June, and that was the end of August. So again, spoke to Dave. He was busy with other stuff. I said, but you fancy a trip to Bonneville? And I said, well, I'm going out ahead to get the bike. And then I ended up, flew into San Francisco, hired a U-Haul, got the bike from Tom's place. Again, great people. He kept the bike in his garage for 2 or 3 months. Just asked him, he dropped the ring and went and got it. And actually it stayed there for 6 months, and then it stayed there for a full year later on. So again, another one of the great people that you meet. Hired the U-Haul, drove from there to the Ridge.
Ridge. Yeah.
I booked 2 days track day at the Ridge up near Seattle. So drove up there, did 2 days at that, had a day in Seattle, and then Dave flew into Seattle and picked him up, and then we had 2 days drive down to Bonneville and had another brilliant adventure at Bonneville. So again,
there's some cool people. Bonneville, I'm going to put out there. If you ever want to meet some people who have just got a passion for something, like it's quite specific, the Bonneville thing, but it's just like a group of people. They call it they're the Salt family, aren't they? Yeah. It's like they all come together once or twice a year or whatever, and there's such a great mix of characters from every walk of life. And if you want to just sit in a bar with some just really cool people and soak up the atmosphere, the black and white bar in
West Wendover.
West Wendover is it's the place to be while there's Bonneville event on. That is a cool place.
So
I've been to the Speedway once, Bonneville, driving. My buddy joined the Air Force right out of high school, so I rode with him we drove from Roanoke, Virginia to San Jose, California, and made a specific trip through Utah. Matter of fact, I still have the bag of Bonneville salts you get out, it's all white, right? Got a big ass scoop, put it in this bag, and I still have it out in my garage. So yeah, it's
no, it's a stunning place again. Somewhere,
it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, once I'd met Jay at TT, sort of 3 or 4 years earlier, 16, 17, and I thought, well, again, that's another, add that to the little bucket list, and then the opportunity presented itself, and we sort of put something together. So we had a week there. Dave headed back home, and I obviously headed back to San Jose with the bike, and then we were back again 2 months later for the stuff in Baja in Mexico, the hill climb and the third for the fourth run of the hill climb, and then the first ever obviously Tourist Cup race that we'd sort of advised on, and we were able to help them put that together. So again, just another fantastic place, beautiful scenery, fantastic people, all just passionate about riding motorbikes. So we've been very fortunate. Just the opportunities present themselves, and they've turned out to be better than we could ever have expected them. So it's been good fun.
What a ride!
Very fortunate
journey, man. God, dude, that's so. Talk a little bit more about the Bonneville Speedway, man. What's it actually like to ride there?
Yeah, again, totally alien surface
to everybody, really, isn't it?
Yeah, so it obviously changes from day to day and hour to hour to everybody. But no, it's just a case of we're just there to have some fun. Obviously, you're turning up with a TT eligible super stock bike on slick tires that had just done 2 days on track at the Ridge. So they'd done 300 miles around the Ridge Motorsports Park, and then you were on the Salt the next week. Let's go and see what we could do, and whatever 125 mile an hour the first lap and first run, and 150 odd, and then we sort of maxed out at 183 or 184 or something, as we couldn't get any more out of it. But it was wheel spinning in sixth gear, twitchy and bits and pieces like that. But no, just another fantastic experience. It's good fun, and just a totally awesome place to go and visit and say. And the people that we meet, and again, we were among a very short list of foreigners. It's obviously with the COVID restrictions still in place, there wasn't too many. We were the only Europeans there, so it was everybody welcomed us with open arms, and say couldn't believe it. They've gone to all this effort to get to come to Bonneville, but said no effort at all. It was good fun. So.
Yeah, it was this oddity. I think at one point that most places are still locked down, most people can't travel, all this stuff. And Eric's managed to wangle both of us these government permissions from the US government that we can travel for elite sporting events. And so I'm flying out somewhere going, I'm going on a jolly, but apparently I'm going to an elite sporting event as the mechanical one. And they're like, this is brilliant. Like, how do you even get this paperwork? But we got it, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. So it's, again, I hope. Obviously, I know. Again, we're very fortunate because the 22 and 23 they get washed out with thunderstorms. Dave was actually going to go up there, I think 23 to ride himself on one of Jay's bikes, but that got washed out, and definitely somewhere I'm going to go back to. In the next few years, because just it's again a little with doing 180 plus. Well, again, looking back on it, we did 183 odd there on the Salt, on slicks, and then the fastest I've ever been clocked on the Isle of Man is 180 down Solway. So I've actually ridden quicker on the same bike on Salt than I did on tarmac. Obviously, because you've got the timed mile and you've got a 2 mile run up to it, but that's quite funny. So you've gone quicker on 3 or 4 mile an hour quicker on Salt than you did on tarmac. So it was good. I'll go back. I want to do 200. So
yeah, it's an odd place as well, because of course everybody's got their ideas of what would and wouldn't work at Bonneville. So I can remember somebody doing, you can't ride on slicks here. You need the tread in the tyre to like cut into the Salt. We're like, well, do you though? Because everything's wheel spinning, so it's largely irrelevant. And it's like we'd taken a generator to try and run tyre warmers because I thought, well, the tyre will grip better if it's warm. But then we couldn't get the generator to work, could we? So it's like, well, it's only a straight line. Just go with it cold. And it was interesting when we were watching, like we'd put a camera on and watch the onboards, and it'd get to about a mile and a half down the strip, and all of a sudden it'd stop wheel spinning as much. It's like almost instant. It was like loads and loads of spin, and then it'd grip and just accelerate. And you go, that's the tyre getting up to temperature. It obviously just gets to a critical point, and it still spins beyond that, but it was a lot better. And I think it was a bloke whose daughter had that weird Buell bolt thing. He built Jay's bikes originally. I can't remember his name, Chris something or other. And we got talking to him, and he said, "You're on slicks." He went, "Yeah, I've run slicks." He said, he'd broken records on slicks. He goes, "What I used to do is drive my RV down, have those the warmers on in the back of the RV, and then just before I was ready for the run, I'd take them off, put the extra fairing over the back wheel so nobody could see, and just do the run." And he said, "Yeah, slicks are the way forward. It's a racing tire. It's designed to go fast." And he's like, "Yeah, you're doing the right thing." But nobody else would believe us. I thought, this guy's actually, he's had over, like, he had 20 or 30 speed records himself, and he's like, he's actually tested this stuff. He knows. We'll listen to him. So, yeah.
What did you think about the Ridge, riding at the Ridge in Seattle?
Yeah, again, I'd seen it on TV, obviously, in 20, when obviously Moto America, because there was little to no racing, even BSB was short in 20. They'd started showing the Moto America stuff on terrestrial TV here. So I always like circuits with elevation change, like Cadwell and Alton Park and stuff in the UK. So it looked like a good place. And again, once I put the dates together, and the track days company had 2 days, so I thought, well, we'll go there. And brilliant, fantastic circuit. So, and then we did one day with the hairpin or the chicane that they use in Moto America on the start straight, and then the second day without it. So you had a full chat run into turn one. So it was again, it's like just like riding two different tracks in. Even just one change of one corner being taken out. It was good fun, and I hadn't been on the bike for almost a year at that stage. So it's just nice to get some dry track time somewhere you'd never been, and good fun. So. Yeah, we did that. Then obviously Bonneville, then obviously the Baja stuff in October that year. The end of October, we did the hill climb and the road race, and then I went back again in December and did 2 days at Laguna with another one of the track day company. Well, it was meant to be 2 days, but they had a storm coming in, so they ended up cancelling the second day. But so I still had 1 day, and Laguna had always been a place I'd wanted to ride round to, so that the opportunity presented itself. So we just put a plan together to make it fit while the bike was there. So, and then the bike came back. Obviously, we dropped the bike off then in Long Beach, and it came back again for the following year back home.
Nice. I'm good friends with my mate that runs Track Dash. So if you ever want to come back out, Dustin.
Yes, Dustin Corner, yes.
Yep. Yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. We're always talking shit.
No, I think obviously because he was. I spoke to him a few times the following year because he was helping out with the CRA racing, and then I went. Obviously, we met Stuart, Dave, Sam, all those boys in Mexico, and obviously things have transpired over here for them, and obviously likewise over there for us. So I went back again in June 22, and Dave Thomas lent me his Gen 3 and had 2 days racing at Laguna with CRA. So it was good fun, and then obviously Dave raced there himself then later that year in October with AFM. So yeah, I said it's swings and roundabouts. We've been very fortunate with the people that we meet. Have opened their doors, bent over backwards, lent us bikes. Dave's lent me his Ram, big Dodge Ram, to drive around, and obviously likewise we're happy to do what we can when the boys are coming this way. So it's that's what I look at it as. You meet great people and you just do whatever you can to help them out, and they do the same for us when we're on the West Coast, so or in the States anywhere in general, really. So.
100%. So talk to me about your experience in Mexico. How's that?
Again, once 21 had been scrapped and the bike was going to the States, it was just looking for things to do with it. And another Pikes Peak guy, Jimmy Hyder, we met in 19, he told us about the San Pedro hill climb, or San Pedro Matir hill climb, as it's correctly called, in Baja. So I put an entry in for that. It was meant to be April that year, but it got knocked back to the October. And then once it got in touch with Pedro, who runs the show there. He had obviously told him what I'd done with history that we're coming from. He'd got in touch, and then he emailing and a couple of phone calls. He started banding the idea around of doing a road race, and then which then became the Bahand and Natural Tourist Cup just outside Takati. So I sort of advised on how things are run here. He had already located the circuit that he wanted to use. Sort of showed me videos of it and things like that. I said, yeah, it'll be entertaining, certainly, but it's a new experience for everybody, and especially the guys there. It has to be a TT type time trial, and it's single file. It's not, you can't do a mass start, even though it may only be 10 or 15 people or 5 people. If it's 5,000s and 500-600s, it's got to be done as against the clock as opposed to a mass start. So we, over the course of 3 or 4 months in that summer, we sort of bounced ideas backwards and forwards, and fair play to Pedro. He put it together. He got all the local authorities on board and bits and pieces like that. So we spent 2 days at the hill climb, which again, another stunning part of the world. I think I finished second that year behind Mark Miller.
But then Mark didn't do the lap record, didn't he?
Yeah,
Mark doesn't turn up to have a gentle cruise around.
Mark was serious. He had enough fuel in the bike to get him to the top, and then the bike was refueled to get him back down to the bottom. And he had
2 or 3 sets of tyres.
Yeah,
always on warmers. So if he finished one run, he could put another set in. So if he could go straight for another run, he had a set that were properly up to temperature before he started, and you just go, like, this boy's taking this seriously.
I remember when we drove up because it's like 30 kilometers from the main road up to where the ranch is. Yeah, so when we pulled up there, I remember Dave was driving at the time, I think, because I'd frightened him a few bits on the road up. He said that.
All I'm saying is I'm pleased it wasn't my van we were driving in.
John's Transit in the air, and he said, "Do you want to take a run up to the top?" I said, "No." He said, "Why not?" He says, "I'll see it tomorrow." I watched a few of Carlin Dunn's onboards from 17, but I didn't try to, and that's always what I've been. I didn't try to learn it on the video. I like to see it through the visor type thing. So I'd never seen the run before, and just over the course of the practice day, so you get 4 runs, and then you get 2 race runs on the race day. I learned it like that, and yeah, you take things seriously, but it's a bit of fun at the end of the day. And obviously, I'm riding a super stock bike, especially for the top section. It was quite technical, a lot of direction changes fast. So Mark had the best bike on the day with the flat bar Aprilia. So, but no, finished second in that. That was good fun. And then obviously we headed north back to Takati for the road race. And again, then I remember saying to Dave, says, we'll head up that way, because it's when you get to Ensenada, you can either go up the coast or you can go inland, and you go inland to get to Takati. So we'll take a drive up. We'll have a drive around and see what it's like, because obviously none of us had seen the circuit that was being proposed. And we had a couple of runs around in the transit, and I thought, yes, it's sketchy and rocks everywhere, but I think this will be fun. And as it transpired, it was pretty good fun. So fast, yeah. The uphill section on Highway 2 or Highway 3, uphill. So the BMW is singing in 6th gear, is entertaining, and then the back section is stuff I like. It's fast and flowing, even though it's broken.
It's like the back section. Imagine the last main road section at Tandragee. It's like, it's quick, it's flowing, it's like 3rd, 4th gear stuff, most of it, isn't it? But with much better weather, and quite a lot of gravel, and some quite jagged rocks and stuff. It's good fun, yeah.
And obviously you're not, because of the state of the tarmac, because obviously the highway was built, and that was the original road, so it's obviously been left forever, how long the highway's been there. So you couldn't take all your proper lines as you would normally, because obviously the inside line wasn't that great, and obviously the outside line was better. So, but no, again, it's just like it's always done. I just ride it as I see it, and you sort of improved times, and the bike is bulletproof and is good fun, and you know it inside out. So just soften the suspension off a little bit just to soak up the other stuff again, because it's faster and different from the hill climb. And And we had a good day and a good tussle with Dave Thomas on his Gen 4 come the race day. So yeah, again, for fair play to Pedro and the team for putting it together. And obviously it's 4 years later, it's still going strong, and as is the hill climb. And they have a new event on the calendar now in April in southern Baja, or Baja South, or whatever, Baja California South as they call it, another hill climb. They've found another road. So in a month's time there'll be the third event for the Baja Tarmac Racing Club type thing. So it's good. And even with our stuff and with the YouTube stuff, if that has been able to help anybody with it or encourage people to come either from the States, or Logan traveled down from Canada the last couple of years, and that is a good reference for people to think and see what. And again, it just shows the events what they are, and the people that involved them. They're just all 100%. It's good, brilliant people.
Absolutely.
I think one of the things I loved about the Mexico stuff was it feels like an adventure, and you go, there's absolutely no politics involved. It's literally like all racing has an element of this politics thing. Who's in charge and who does this and who's making a few quid here and this and that, and you go there, and Pedro is running these events for the absolute love of motorbike or motorsport on tarmac, and he puts life and soul into these things, and they're really cool events. And there's a bit less red tape in Mexico as well, so you can get away with stuff that we can't do. And so it's like literally closed, like the highway 2 or 3 or whatever it is that runs from Takara to Ensenada or whatever. I can't remember. Like that's the main road. That's like closing the A1. So they close it for like 20 minutes at a time, and they'll be tailback for miles so that we can rip up there at 180 mile an hour. And then just think, how are you allowed to do this? This is ridiculous. But off we go. Yeah. Well, we're allowed to do things like that. We definitely should do things like that.
100%. I'm with you. I'm like, let's go. We can do this. Really? Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the night before, a few of the lads were like, we're going to take the race bikes and we just like run a few laps, like the night before, just to get our eye in, sort of thing. And I think and somebody said, one of the local cops just said, it's fine as long as you don't crash into anybody. It's like, on your race bikes. Well, one lad was on an ex-World Championship Moto2 bike.
Crazy.
This is a different world.
110%. A completely different world. Yes, it is.
Yeah. I think you might do some stuff better,
Maybe just a little bit, right? Yeah. Maybe just a little bit. So how did all this with you, Eric, transition to, helping the Americans come over there for the Mannix GP and in the TT? How did all that come about?
Yeah, I said, obviously in your podcast with Rick and Jackie there previously, Rick had mentioned that we obviously met them and got together, and I said, if you ever fancy trying some stuff in Europe or in the UK and Ireland, just we'll keep in touch. And over 20 and 21, again, plans have been put in place for him to come and do some of the stuff here in Northern Ireland, Tandragee, Cookstown and the likes, but that all got knocked in the head, and the insurance and bits and pieces played ball. So over winter 21 and 22, I said, look, do you want to try for the Manx itself? If we got chatting, I said, if that's your long-term goal, let's just figure out everything else and we'll go for the Manx. So went through the processes with him, what he needed to do, and he put his name down for the newcomer acceptance, and obviously said, obviously you can use Dave's name, obviously, because Dave's still obviously riding and racing at the time. At my time there had finished as your UK reference, and we'll be there to support. David would be there riding, but we'll be there to support you and run our bikes and bits and pieces like that. So Rick and Jackie came over for the newcomers weekend back then in 22, and I met up with them for a pint of Guinness in Dublin, and they went on to the island, and 4 months later he's back again as a newcomer on the, well, as it was in the McCrum's motorcycles. I do a bit of work for on my RS660 Aprilia, and then also Stu and Sam had been over for Cookstown and Tandragee that year. Again, obviously Stu had his own plans already in place, like he said in his podcast, to come, and they got knocked back a few years for one reason or another. So Sam rode my 600 there. I rode the Aprilia, and Stu was on his 600. So again, he had set up his thing. Again, we just, between us, and obviously like on the YouTube stuff, just kept them both right. And again, Dave took over most of the lap stuff and helping out with the laps. And I because I hadn't ridden there in 3 or 4 years at that stage, so Dave was more up to speed on that sort of stuff. He looked after them and kept them right on that front. And I take care of stuff in the awning and make sure the kettle's always warm. So and make sure that they, wherever they need to be, and whatever needs to be done needs to be done. I have a reasonably good at organizing stuff, and that I just look after that sort of thing. And Dave looks after from the team point of view, he looks after a bit more of the technical stuff, and obviously the rider prep, and obviously back then in 22 for both the lads, and obviously Martin as well as a newcomer. So three newcomers that year in the awning, just giving them as much help and advice on the wares and what to do's of the circuit itself. And then obviously 23 and 24, it's just built on from there with Dave Thomas coming on board in 23. He came over, did Cookstown on my 620 again, and then obviously back again in 24, and then obviously Manx again as a newcomer in 24. So it's just nice to be able to give the guys as much help as we can between the two of us, much as information but knowledge, and obviously for them to take as much pressure out of the game as possible, because there's a lot of stuff you've got to do up front, back at home, research, all your license admin and bits and pieces. And obviously, again, Stuart obviously was an advantage because he lived there, he knows the people, but the likes of Rick and the likes of Dave, they're traveling from the other side of the world to somewhere they've never been to before. Yes, they might have seen it on the TV, but it's if we can help out in any way, provide them bikes, make sure everything's where it needs to be at the right time, and obviously help out when they're there. It's just a privilege. There's no better word for it. It's just a privilege to be able to do that for somebody, because I know like David done it in return for both of us, and if we were on the East Coast, I'm sure Rick would bend over backwards for us too, and Stu, if we're in Nevada and wherever. Well, as I said, anybody we've come across have been fantastic, so there's no doubt that they would do whatever they could in return if it was us going the other way. So
100%. I'm actually I think I'm about an hour and a half away from Ricky K. I'm actually going to go spend the weekend with him and Jackie and hang out. My question too is like, I get a lot of questions from a lot of my American friends and racers that are interested in coming to the ManX and doing the whole TT event. Tell everyone what the proper steps and procedures are to do that.
Well, obviously it's changed a lot since we were in that position, and to be fair, it's even changed in the last couple of years. But my understanding of it now is, obviously, as an out-and-out newcomer, you have to obviously put your name on the list to be a newcomer for the following year. Submit your racing history as detailed as it can be, actually result sheets, and maybe even you have to a covering letter to say why you want to do it. It's not just they want longevity out of the events and those competing in it. They don't want a bucket list person that will only go once and never come back again, because it's unfair to the people who want to do it and want to put the time and effort into it. And obviously, if your name gets accepted on that front, sorry, good.
Yeah, and realistically, one of their things is that the organisation put quite a lot of time and effort and money into helping newcomers learn the circuit, and there's a lot of infrastructure. Like they obviously put on newcomer weekends, and they have riders and rider reps and whoever to take you around and to help you learn it, and like they're putting quite a lot in as well. So they don't want somebody to just turn up and just do it once and not really be interested. And like over the years, especially a few years ago, there used to be a lot of I want to do that, I want to tick that box. But a lot of people they want to make sure they want to come, and ideally they want to see people who actually want to go to the TT and want to go to the Manx to learn, to get faster, to go to TT and have a bit of a sort of the ambition for it. because part of the thing the last few years is the TT's been so successful and the speeds have got so high that to go to TT, it's really difficult to get to TT as a newcomer now, unless you're riding like BSB or Top Flight AMA or Motor America or whatever. You can't really go to TT as a newcomer because the pace is so fast. So they need people to go to the Manx and learn their trade for 1, 2, 3 years. And when they've proven they're fast enough, then move up. So it's like, nowadays, it's the feeder for TT is the Manx. So they want the lads in their 20s and lads and lasses, 20s, 30s, with the passion that they want to be a TT racer, not just Joe Bloggs who's going, oh, it looks kind of fun, I'd just like to tick that box. It's like, it's had to change. It's like, the nature of the beast now. If the Manx for the Manx to sort of keep going, it's got to prove it's bringing riders through the system.
Yeah, obviously, as Dave mentioned, with the TT specifically, obviously because they've constantly been reducing the number of starters over the last 10 years now, down to 60 in the smaller capacity races and only 50 in the 1,000 races. You're only going to get spaces for 1 or 2 newcomers a year on a TT entry. So so that, again, and obviously the Manx riders have been, because when I first did the Manx, there was over 100 starters in my first Manx Grand Prix Senior in 02. I was 103, I think, on my bike, and I wasn't the last one away. But they're now down to same thing, sort of 60 and 70 starters. So the places have become a lot less, and from a newcomer point of view, they want to see, preferably if you've done some road racing, either at Southern 100 on the island or Northern Ireland or Southern Ireland. And obviously, with regards to Rick and Stu and the boys, obviously they haven't had that opportunity. Yes, they've done Stu and Dave did the road race stuff in Mexico. It doesn't count technically because it's not a sanctioned event, but it's a little bit of road racing, pure road racing. So from that point of view, it probably stood them in good stead, to be fair. Rick had obviously did Pikes Peak in 19. But again, it's just having things like that. So you're getting your newcomer acceptance and getting your name on the list and then getting the invitation across. I think there's actually the first of this year's newcomer weekends is happening this weekend, actually.
The big thing is if you want to go, you need to be planning a year and a half, 2 years ahead.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to get your name on that list to try and be a newcomer. It's gonna have to be at least a year in advance, realistically 18 months to 2 years, because they're oversubscribed every year, and then it gives you a bit of time to prove, because like the license grading is slightly different between UK and the States and bits, so you've got to prove that, and the way they calculate race results to prove you're actually fast enough is different. So that needs to be worked out, and there's a bit more admin involved, and you're going to have to go over. It doesn't matter where you live, you have to go over and do laps on the newcomer trips and stuff. So like Dave Thomas did his, he did his while he was over at the Southern. So he got to race the Southern 100, so he ticked another road race off and did his newcomer trip at the same time. And so, like, if you're organised enough, they can work a system where you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But it's more difficult because we can get on the boat and 2.5 hours later we're on the island, or 20 minutes from plane from Liverpool or whatever. But for you guys over there, it's if you want to go, you have got to be committed. It is not everybody's committed if they go to the Isle of Man. From where you are, that's an even bigger commitment.
Yeah, no, we'd with last year, Dave Thomas had 2 weekends to attend, so he came over for Cookstown and then he went on straight to the island and did his first weekend, and then he was able to arrange. Obviously, spoke to Heather and the team over there, and he was able to arrange the second weekend combined with the July trip. And I said, well, if you're coming over for that, stay and do the Southern 100 as well. So he did his second and third section of newcomer training, then we had the Southern 100, so that was him up. There's been a few other people that I've spoken to. Obviously, most of them are coming from the Baja stuff, to be fair. Put their names down for the last couple of seasons. I said, you're going to get knocked back once or twice, maybe, to be fair. because they don't know who you are. I says, but so if you are 100% on board and you want, like Dave said, you want to be committed, get yourself across and do some of the stuff here first. So if the newcomer window's closed now for 25, so I said, if emailing a few people recently, and I said, if you want to go for 26, fair enough, we'll do that. But if you can, come here. Well, even put an entry in for the Southern 100 now in July, because previously, in previous years, Cookstown and Tandragee here in Northern Ireland used to be back to back. So the last weekend in April, first weekend in May. So if you came across, you could come on a 10-day trip and you could have 2 race events taken out of it. And the way they do them now, they have a race on the Friday evening and then a race on the Saturday. So you'd have 4 race days. So there's 4 of your 6 race days towards your 6 that you need for the Manx. And they're all
the road races, which
road races
helps on the TV.
So I said, so that's where people need to be looking at for 26 now. If you want to put your name down on the list for a newcomer at the end of this year, for next year, get yourself over and do something here this year. Get onto the island, go and see it, have a ride around, get a lap with somebody, Dave or anybody you come across, if it happens to be anything else, or even some of the locals and the instructors there, and to make sure that it's something that you want to do, and because obviously it is an eye opener, even in a car, never mind on a bike.
However wide you think it is on an onboard camera, it's smaller than that, and it's faster than that.
So it's the width of Cadwell Park.
If you look
at speed, yes, it can be.
Yeah, and the thing is, on the onboard, it's like, you don't see the bumps on the onboard, and you don't see the camber changes, and you don't see everything, and you just, you've got to go over, and you've got to actually see it in real life. Yeah.
So one bit of advice that like you asked for, Chris, or anybody listening, said if you're looking at it as something for the future, that's the kind of prep that you have to do. Possibly if you can make it to the UK or Northern Ireland and do it here. And then obviously the prep back home is the results. And obviously for the newcomers, it's obviously like 6 events in the previous year leading up to it. 2 of those events have to be in the same year. So you'll have to be racing this March, April time, or May in the States. And then they also ask for you're finishing within 92.5% of the class winner's time. And that's where Dave mentioned there that the result sheets from CRA, AFM and stuff aren't set up and compiled like our stuff here, where that's automatically displayed on the result sheet. So you have to go on to Speed Hive to get the times. You have to go on to the CRA website or the AFM website to get the results. So I remember for Rick's first one in 22, I said, send me all the information or tell me where to find it. And I actually had to sit down and work out the 92.5% for and send them on to Michelle at the ACU for me. So I understand, we understand what they want. And I said, it's just easier if you send me all the data and I'll spend an hour, put it all together and send it on. So, and then we did the same with Dave and stuff last year too, just to make sure whatever is expected of them, be it on the admin side, is up to speed, and so there's no back and forth, because you've got an 8-hour time difference too, especially when you're running out of time in July, to make sure everything's in place for them to get sorted. So it's that's just another piece of the puzzle, and it's easier for us to process it because we've had to deal with it for the mountain course license came in now in 06, so nearly 20 years it's been on the go. So we've been dealing with that for 20 years now. So it's again, they moved the goalpost when Rick and Stu came. They had one weekend to do. 2023 was the same, and then last year there was 2. I think there was actually originally 3 weekends was expected. And again, a couple of emails backwards and forwards with Dave and Heather. They were able to combine 2 of those into one because of it's an 10,000 mile round trip to come from California. But the fact that he was already coming for Cookstown, and then he was shown up front that, look, we're 100% on board with this. We're coming to do a road race in Northern Ireland, and we're coming to the Southern. Then they were pretty flexible, and they were able and obviously all the TMs and stuff on the island. The instructors were all pretty flexible and able to help out and give him the time that he needed when he was able to get across from his work and family. So it's good.
I love it. I love it. So what's the plans for 2025, gentlemen?
You first, Dave?
Eric's plans are probably a little bit quicker than mine.
Well, we're up. Just in case you do need to get away, you could go first.
Right. I'm actually going to Hewson next weekend. A friend of mine, we built bike to him over winter, a 24 blade, which will be on the channel soon. And next weekend, I'm having a trip to Hewson to basically help him with a shakedown test and bits on that. I've actually booked my first actual Euro track day of my own in March because I thought Port Mayo looked cool. So I'm heading out there. And then I need to book some racing because I want to go racing, but I haven't actually got around to it yet. But I've got Lancelot Unizar is riding my twin at TT, which will be cool. He's moved up from the Manx Grand Prix. He's a nice lad. I mean, he's French, but somebody's got to be. It's not his fault. He's fast as well. He's won the I think it was actually ultra lightweights at the Manx. He won the other year. He's moving up. He's going to be quick. So I've got him on the twin and Tom Weedon's on my BM again because the organisers very nicely gave him dispensation to run it, even though it's technically out of date. So I'm over at TT for the full fortnight, and every other weekend of my life I'll be at BSB because we've got a big change with that. We're doing Owen Jenner on a Super Sport Honda, and this may be the first announcement of it. Our second rider, Harley McCabe, is actually going to be doing sport bike because, frankly, it's a few bits have happened in the background, but yeah. So we were supposed to be running 2 Super Sports. We're now running 1 Super Sport and 1 sport bike. We are building them right now. Well, not right now, but I should be cracking the whip in the workshop tomorrow for Rob to be building them. So between I want to do a little bit of racing myself. I'm flat out as well doing management at Rapid. So if you're in the UK and you want to be more confident, faster, safer, whether it's on road or on track, check out rapidtraining.co.uk. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Mine's on the other arm. We are the most professional. We are the leading advanced rider training company going. So go on to Rapid. And so between Rapid, YouTube, BSB, and I am definitely going to ride my bike at some point. It's going to be a busy year, but it should be fun, I think. Probably.
It will be. Absolute proper mega, right? Absolutely it will.
Yeah. Yeah. So as I said, Eric's list is probably shorter than mine.
At the minute, all we have in the pipeline, Rick and Jackie are over for Northwest again. He was over last year on my Aprilia. He was looking at the Southern 100, but the dates didn't suit back at home, so they've changed to have another visit for the Northwest. Hopefully, if we get a dry year, because he was blessed last year with back-to-back sunshine. So we'll see what happens in May for that, and so hopefully the twin and maybe dig out the 600 as well if that's allowed to ride. And then he's also back again, obviously, for the Manx on the entries should open. TT entries have just closed, so the Manx Grand Prix entries should be opening shortly. So it'll be for the Aprilia and the 600 again for him. Had a chat with Stuart on the phone a couple of weeks back just to catch up with him and see what his plans were, and he's the same. He's on board for his 600 and twin at Manx, and then he's also been speaking to Dave about borrowing some of the classic Kawasaki fleet. So he'll put an entry in for the 400 again, and you think he's even going to put a superbike entry in for the 750k. So I'll be at the Manx for the full 2 weeks with Manx Classic TTs, because obviously once Rick's finished on the Monday or whatever it is, they'll head back home, and then I'll stay on. If Stu's on a couple of the team bikes for classic stuff, I'll stay on. And as Dave's got a busy schedule, he won't be able to attend this year, but I'll stay on and keep Stu right with the team bikes as well. So once he's done with his bikes at the Manx Grand Prix as it is, then help him out with the classic stuff too as well. So a few other discussions, maybe get some people on board my stuff at Armoy at the end of July, and the Classic Bike Festival here at Bishop's Court, one of the circuits here, the following weekend. I've been messaging with Bridget, obviously, who we know from Baja stuff. She's keen to come across again. Long-term plan, maybe do the Manx and put a name for that. And I said, if you can come across, and we'll look after you for any of the events over here. So she's indicated she might look at that double event, Armoy and the Classic Bike Festival. And then one of our friends, Chad, he also been in touch with him. He might come over and do the same. He possibly did ask about Northwest, but obviously my stuff had already been taken. So I might, because he was on our Aprilia back in 23 at Northwest, I think. And yeah, he was 23. Rick had it last year, so he might nip across and do some stuff in between his busy journalistic schedule. So on my own front, I haven't had much time. Obviously, I had
track diary.
Yeah,
we'll just go track day. We'll just go track day or something.
Yeah, I had again another bucket list event ticked off at the start of the year. I had my BMW's on its way back from Australia. I had 3 days on track at Phillip Island, another place I'd always wanted to go to. So, but again, it developed. It was as soon as it came up with No Limits last year, I was probably one of the first ones to hit buy. And then over the course of last year, it developed into something completely different. So it soon became Sandra's a midwife here back at home, and we had to apply for special permission to her for her to get time off over Christmas and New Year, because it's not normally allowed. And our Cameron's at university, our older, the two lads are in middle of exams, so it became a family holiday and then I stayed on for 10 days extra to do my own thing. So I had we had 4 nights in Sydney, 9 nights up at the Gold Coast, another couple of nights back in Sydney for New Year's, and then Sandra and the boys flew home. I hired a F750 BMW out of Sydney. Spent 2 days riding down to Melbourne, had 3 days on track at Phillip Island, packed up the bike, and then had another 3 or 4 days riding around Victoria and along the coast and stuff, and before back to Melbourne and on a plane and back. So again, I was away for like a month. But family holiday, and well, I'll say a boys' trip. I was on my own, but I did ask this man here, but he's too busy. He couldn't join me.
Boo, Dave, boo.
Next up, sickie for a month.
Right. Oh man, yeah.
So Phillip Island was good. I'll go riding somewhere at some stage, but I've no intentions of doing any racing here. I'm done with that, I think. Like Dave touched on it, having been able to experience the stuff in the States, be it Bonneville or CRA, and especially the stuff in Baja. I just want to be left alone to ride my bike. I can't be bothered with all the politics and the red tape. And that sounds a bit odd, but I enjoy riding and being able to go new places, meet new people. Especially obviously once my TT journey had finished and I decided that was me. That's what I'm looking for is new adventures and new places. And I think as Stuart said, and his thing that the BMW's well traveled, and that's what I call it, the traveler, because it spends more time on a plane or in a container on a ship than things. So I'm sure we'll find somewhere new for it to go. It's due back next month. I'll be over and hopefully catch up with Dave next month when it's back in England, if he's at home. We'll catch up. I haven't seen him since October, so and then something will come up. I'll come up with some crazy plan sometime later, but nothing. Again, just at the minute is Northwest and Manx is on my calendar for the guys, and we'll go from there.
Sweet. Well, you gentlemen, you're always welcome to have a free spot to stay. I told Dave this on the podcast. You guys ever out here in Roanoke, Virginia, go to VIR or wherever, close racetracks, you got a free place to stay at my house. I'll come pick you up at the airport. We'll have some good pints, some good American food, right? And all that good stuff. Look, Dave's like, wait, what?
Some the Americans do good food? I've not heard of this before.
First time on the podcast, right? We do have good food. It's awesome.
Yeah, as long as you don't put gravy on it might be passable.
What was our nickname for the breakfast? Sweet, it's gone.
Oh, the sweetened meat.
Sweetened meat, yeah.
Sweetened meat. I love it.
Yeah, when we were in, where did we stop off? It must be obviously Hollywood or something. When we were coming back from Baja the first time, and stopped off at a little diner in Hollywood, off Sunset Boulevard, and it wasn't sunny.
No, never has been. Been there twice. Been miserable both times.
And we sit down for, I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but the breakfast that it comes out with is the pancakes and syrup with bacon and sausages, and that's why I come up with a sweetened meat breakfast. And I said, what is that? So I'm used to a bowl of cereal. That's it.
Yeah. This is not breakfast. This is all of my meals for the day in one place.
At 9 o'clock in the morning. So no, it's good fun. Now we've got a lot of great memories, and as Dave said, is obviously very fortunate to have the YouTube stuff to back it up. Obviously, before Pikes Peak, it was bike builds and a bit of Dave's culinary skills in the kitchen and stuff like that there. And
I think that even came after.
Yeah,
I think it was the first bit, really, wasn't it?
And to have the Pikes Peak stuff, the Bonneville stuff, the couple of years of Baja, and obviously the stuff that we do for the guys. Dave's time putting the stuff together for the Manx and bits and pieces. It's for me to look back on, and obviously, hopefully, Stu and Rick and Dave and all those boys, something for them to look back on and show their kids in the future, and obviously any of their friends back home. Most of them would probably have heard of the Isle of Man. Some people, unsurprisingly, some people still haven't. But for them to sort of hit play and have a look and see what it's all about, and it's just very fortunate to be able to do in this day and age, to be able to do stuff like that. And it's not just a photo album with 24 photographs at a time, take it to the chemist to get them developed and things like that. But no, it's brilliant to have that stuff to look back on, and catch myself the odd time when I have a quiet 5 or 10 minutes in the office to scan down through the stuff and hit play in Bonneville, and just some of the stuff that we've got up to has just been fantastic. And
remind yourself that you're the first Northern Irishman to do Pikes Peak.
Yeah. Michael Dunlop was meant to do it, but he, I think he crashed his rally car. Yeah, he went out for the tire test, as they call it, a couple of weeks earlier, and then after TT 19, he was off doing some of his tarmac rallying, and he crashed his Mark II Escort, and he wasn't badly injured, but it was enough for him not to travel. So, I was in the history books. Somewhere, possibly, the Northern Ireland flag is represented. All right, be it down at the back.
It's still there. Yeah, it's still there.
And it's on YouTube. And obviously the stuff that the trip we put together was just fantastic. So a very fortunate position to have met lots of great people, including this good man here over the years, and and it's anything ever needed. Obviously, he takes care of, even though we're a day trip away from each other. Anything's ever needed on the bike, it either goes across by post or in person. And bikes are built, engines are done, suspension's done. If I need any advice, he's a phone call away. And obviously, likewise, he's not this way that often, unfortunately, nowadays, with not doing any of the stuff here. But when we get together, we have a bit of fun, and
got me done.
Take the piss out of each other and everybody else around us. So we have our own. Sometimes we have our own language, but the only two of us can understand. But it's been obviously put together over 15, 16 years now. So it's very fortunate to meet just fantastic people. So and everywhere. So
it's an absolute honor. That's what I always say. It's the memories you make, which you two have absolutely do proper mega times. It's something you'll never forget and you'll cherish forever. On my bucket list, as I told Dave, I want to come to the TT. It's been my dream since I laid eyes on it. I told my wife, if I get done with this podcast and I just drop dead, burn me, send me across there, leave me wherever at the TT, just leave me somewhere and enjoy the rest of your life, right? yeah, one day I will make it to the TT.
Please do it.
I will.
It's an experience. Well, we've been obviously we're fortunate enough to go and watch it, and obviously in both cases to take part. But it's well, there's nothing like it.
It is the best place in the world to ride motorbikes.
Yeah, best place.
Yeah,
it is.
We've been. It's a childhood dream achieved to even get there, and say my first TT as it was in 04 on a standard road bike, and I had a bronze replica in the junior race, 30th place behind McGuinness won. But and then a month later the bike was back in its red, white, and blue road bodywork and sold. One careful owner. So and then we went on to another bike afterwards. But yeah, obviously that's 20 odd years ago now. But yeah, it's an experience to be there, and obviously the freedom that you have to go to 99.9% of the circuit places that you can watch at, and obviously the freedom that you get around the paddock. It's just it's like nothing else I've ever had the fortune to experience. The places like Bonneville and the Baja stuff, it's the same sort of paddock feel and the same sort of people, and that's why I'm drawn to that stuff, because that's the kind of thing I like to do and be involved in. So so it's just finding different locations and hopefully get the same experiences or better if we can. So,
and I have to be honest, I love it to bits. I love you to bits, Eric. I do have to go in a second.
You're good. Well, I'm going to end this anyway. I mean, we're almost 2 hours into this podcast, so
my
gentlemen,
apologies, everyone. I'm breaking up the party.
No, you're good. You're good. You know why? Because we're gonna do this party many more times. So
hell yes.
Yeah, absolutely we will. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor to sit down with the two legends, Dave Hewson and Eric Wilson. So listen, go to Dave's YouTube channel, Obsession Engineering, watch, like, and subscribe, hit that bell. Just same thing for me. I ask all the time, hit that bell. You guys know the ding, 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 ding.
Go and watch all the terrible ones and remember how ed videos shouldn't be edited.
But we all start from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And we learn and progress along the way. So, man, this has been a lot of fun. The journey, the stories you guys told are absolutely amazing. And it's been an honor to sit down with you two gentlemen this evening with you guys to get it out there. Looking forward to doing part 2 with both of you guys again. And I hope the best of 2025 and the successes come to you guys. You guys already know I'm a big fan of BSB, so I'm gonna be watching every round of every race, cheering you guys on. Obviously at the TT2 as well. As I tell everybody, go to Bennett'sBritishSuperbikes.com. The season starts first weekend of May, I think, at Alton Park, if I'm correct. See, I know my stuff a little bit. So you can watch it for free on their official website. You just scroll down when it's live. You see a little yellow thing. Just like when you hit that bell, hit it and enjoy the show, my friends. Don't forget about the TT coming up at the end of May, beginning of June. It's 2 weeks of the most beautiful thing you're ever going to see in your life. If you guys have not seen it, you can actually go to TT Plus. It's like $25 US. Listen, they got Between the Hedges. They have a lot of good series on there too as well. So don't miss it this year. Please don't. It's the best.
But it's even best in person.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. So, listen, I'm gonna let you guys in the podcast. Before that, I just want to thank everybody that watches this. If you guys did not get a chance to watch this live, it'll be out on Spotify, iHeart, all that good stuff tomorrow. You can immediately go back to my YouTube channel after you watch Obsession Engineering on YouTube and go back here and rewatch this live today. Well, won't be live, pre-recorded, but you guys know what I'm saying. And just thanks to everybody. It's nothing but love to all you guys. And go to all my socials. You guys like that heart, didn't you? And go back to all my socials and just like, subscribe to me, Eric, and Dave. And so gentlemen, tell everybody where they can find you. Show all the love and support. We'll start with Eric.
Well, I appear in the occasional video. From time to time, we'll see, as Dave said, and as you said, it's Obsession Engineering on YouTube. Obviously, the website for all the top quality merchandise,
which is now available to ship to the US as well.
That's it, yeah. And that was another thing. What was it? yeah, in 23, whenever Dave went over for his Bonneville trip, there was a customer in Ohio or something like that bought something off the channel or off the website. And I said, well, there you are. Once Bonneville got cancelled, I said, well, do a road trip to Ohio and deliver the hat. That would be a surprise. Like,
that would be.
He didn't pick me up on it.
The roads there looked a bit boring, so I went to Arizona instead.
That's the crazy kind of ideas I come up with. If somebody puts something down, I'll think outside the box. So, obviously for all the team stuff, obviously the super sport and the super sport bike stuff that Dave's going to be involved in, the rapid stuff, and obviously it's all done through the YouTube channel. And I know Dave won't be there at Northwest and Manx this year. Hopefully, I'll do a bit of video recording of the guys, and if he has some time in his busy schedule, maybe be able to put something together for the channel just to see the natural progression of the lads over the last 2, 3, or 4 years for Rick and Hugh. So it'll be see if we can put something together to keep that for them. So
yeah.
I love it.
That's it. And Eric's done my plugs for me.
There it is, right? I love it. And on that note, real quick, big shout out to Next Level Financial, BisonTrack.com, Chef Eats, TST Industries, the Clothing Kings. You guys can go to the Clothing King. My son started drawing on this, coloring it, right? The clothingkings.co.uk, and get all your Pin to Gas merch out there in the UK. Big shout out to Superbike Supply, SFL Mini GP, RD Racing out there where you guys are, Jake Marsh, Vet2 Track, Flying Eyes Optics, 64-Degree Racing, Ghetto Customs, Carnes Performance, KYT Helmets America, K-Tech Suspension, Birch, Kendall, and Dakari, RTR Ready to Race in North Carolina, Coleman Power Sports here in Virginia, McLeo Escapes Track and Tour, Road Racing World. Everybody go to roadracingworld.com, sign up, donate to the Air Fund. That's where our air fences come on our track. It's imperative we have them. If we don't have them, we're not going racing, right? No, we're not going to have fun. So every little bit, $1, $5, whatever you can do to donate, please do it, and we thank you for it. Big shout out to STG, Brian and Max Van, Dripping Wet, Venom Undersuits, V121pro.com. You guys know Mike the Spike Edwards, right? I've had him on here twice already, so anybody wants any coaching, go to that website, hit him up. BTR, Build Train Race out here in Moto America, is one of the best programs we have out here. Racer 401, tippingracing.com, Hyper Naked, California Superbike School with Gary Ashland out there in the UK, another proper mega coaching, and Cole King Performance out here in the States. But gentlemen, it's been an absolute and rapid. Yeah, there you go. Right? Is it rapid or rapido? Rapid. Okay, there you go. Yeah. So Rob, real quick, says Eric's a legend. Dave looks like Mr. Bean.
Oh, you're not getting paid next week.
I love it. Well, gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to sit down with you guys. We're in the group chat, so we'll continue that going on moving forward. And I'm getting some stickers in. They should be here in a couple of about 2 weeks, and I got some new shirts coming in too. So y'all too, hit me up. Put the addresses in. I'm gonna send some shirts out to you guys. Just say thank you so much, and it's an absolute honor. And of course, I can't wait to rep my obsession engineering stuff out here. So when people ask, I can send them to you, right?
Love it.
Yeah. But gentlemen, I know you guys are busy and you guys got to go. It's been an absolute honor. Is there anything you guys would like to say for in the podcast?
I'll just follow up with Rob there. It says he can be my or our wingman any day. He'll understand.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate.
Thank you, Chris. Been a pleasure.
Looking us up and all your support and spreading the word of obsession engineering and bits and pieces and all this stuff with your country folk. Say that we were able to do fun in here. So yes, every little helps. That's Tesco's, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah.
Come on, Eric.
I'm not plugging Tesco's, so appreciate your time. Say thanks for looking us up and asking us on.
Yeah, man. Listen, the honor's all mine. Believe me, it really is. And you guys stay tuned because part 2 is coming up here about a month or so. We'll sort it out and we'll definitely let you know. So until then, appreciate everybody's watching, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, thanks very much.
All right, let me end this.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas podcast.